Hello, everyone. We're reading again from the book Murder in the Kollel. Reading chapter 24, Hydrogen. I was coming out of it. I did not know out of what, but I was coming out. I had not seen my life pass before my eyes. I just had not been here. But now I was coming back. I had yet to accomplish the feat of opening my eyes, and I did not know what I would see when I did. It could be I would open my eyes and thank God for my last 2.5 years of learning Torah and doing mitzvahs, good deeds, and that because of them, my life had been spared, and I would once again take part in the joys of this world. Or I would open my eyes to see God and the ministering angels welcoming me into Olam Haba, the world to come. I remembered getting shot, and I still felt the pain in my chest and my head. My eyes fluttered open. God and the ministering angels would have to wait. All I saw was the inside of the old barn and the white Chevy in its center. I was lying supine on some dirty sacking material so that my head and chest were raised slightly. I suppose I was lying in the very spot I fell after I was shot. Everything looked red tinged, and I realized that my eyes were covered in the blood that was running down from my head wound. I brought up my right hand to wipe away some of the blood in my eyes, and this caused great pain in my left chest area. Rebbetzin Klein was gone. When I sat up, I found that blood was still dripping from my nose and my chin. There was blood everywhere. I must look a fright. I pushed my right hand inside my blood-drenched jacket to feel the damage caused by the gunshot wound to my left chest. The area was remarkably tender, and I was sure a couple of ribs were broken. I was extremely surprised not to feel any breaks in the skin, and there was no blood. What the heck? I looked at my jacket and saw the bullet had entered on the left side, but when I checked the internal lining, I saw the bullet had not penetrated all the way through. Since I knew that my Bocher's uniform was not made out of Superman's material, I sought a different explanation. Confused, I reached into the inside jacket pocket and extracted my small siddur. There was a .22 caliber slug stuck in its pages. It had almost gotten through the book, but not quite. Baruch Hashem, praise be to God, and dinky .22 caliber bullets. Rabbi Kalmanovich had once told me that if I said my prayers every day, it would unquestionably change my life. He was not wrong. More money in the bank. I climbed shakily to my feet, and I realized I was weak from loss of blood. I had to stop the bleeding from my head. Everything in the place was filthy. How unlike Rebbetzin Klein not to have cleaned every square inch. But I suppose she left everything like this just to confuse the police. I took off my jacket and tore out strips of the lining, which was still clean. I wadded up some of the material and pressed it against my head. I assumed that my head wound was not just a long graze of the scalp, because the other option was that there was a bullet. I assumed that my head wound was just a long graze of the scalp, because the other option was that there was a bullet lodged somewhere in my skull. I had nothing to lose. If there was a slug playing hide and seek inside my kalabasa, I had only a little time left before I said hello to the ministering angels. Might as well make the best of what I can. I secured the makeshift bandage tightly around my head using my tie, and this seemed to staunch most of the bleeding. The remaining material was used to clean up my face as best as I could. I noticed that there were a few items that seemed out of place because they were the only things in the building not covered in a layer of dirt and dust. This included a gallon jug of muriatic acid, about a 3-pound bag of zinc powder, and a bag of large colored party balloons. All three were about half empty. There were also some large empty glass jars and rubber tubing. What did the Rebbetzin do with this stuff? I staggered down to the little stream and drank some water. I had no idea if the stream was polluted, but I was consumed with thirst. I splashed water on my face and hands and tried to wash off some of the blood. My shirt had streaks of blood all over, but there was nothing I could do about it. Rebbetzin Klein must have thought she had killed me because the keys of the Hyundai were still in my pants pocket. My optimism was short-lived because when I got to the car, I found the 2 front tires were slashed. Somehow I got to the road. I knew that I did not have the strength to make it into town on foot, so I just stood under the shade of one of the trees waiting for someone to come along. I have no idea if I waited for 30 seconds or 30 minutes, but eventually a new Toyota pickup stopped and the driver asked, "Hey buddy, do you need any help?" I almost laughed out loud. I must look a sight with my crazy head bandage and blood all over, and he asked if I needed any help. I wanted to say, "No thanks, I'll be fine. I'm just waiting to go to a Halloween party." Instead, I opened the door and I said, "Yeah, I do. I've been shot." I had trouble climbing up into his high cab, but once I was in, I felt a moment of relief. I was making a mess of his new truck, but I could not care less. I knew I was weak from loss of fluids and blood and turned to the driver. "Have you got any water?" "I think it's not a good idea to drink if you've been shot," said the driver. "If I don't get something to drink, I'm going to pass out," I said matter-of-factly. "In that case, here you go," said the fellow, handing me a half-gallon bottle of mineral water. "I'm taking you to the hospital." I finished the first half of the bottle and said, "Good idea." Then I polished off the second half. We were driving towards the medical center, and I felt the water giving me a little strength. Suddenly, I remembered the Rebbitzins' threat that Daphna was on the next on the agenda. I asked the driver, "Can I borrow your phone?" "Sure," said the driver, and gave it to me. I called Daphna's cell, but once again, it went directly to her voicemail. I could not remember her home phone number because the number had been in my phone, and my phone was now in some field in Shiawassee County. In today's digital world, no one remembers more than half a dozen phone numbers because they were all programmed into their phones. One of the numbers I did remember was Chucky Short, my computer man from the Detroit PD. I dialed his number and got his usual, "Yo, speak to me." "Chucky, this is Cy Lincoln," I started. Chucky broke in with, "What the hell are you doing out there in East Lansing? World War III? I can't believe what I'm hearing." "Chuck, I'll fill you in when I can, but this is now is an emergency. A real emergency. No fooling around," I said sternly. "I'm here. I have to get in contact with Daphna Lachler, but right now, and her cell is not working. Have you got her home phone number?" I asked. "I always call her cell, but I'll get the number for you ASAP. And also, would you have Sheldon from CSI give me a call right now?" I requested. We'll do on both of those. I have a number on the display. Give me a minute," he said. Sheldon was just about the biggest science nerd I have ever met. He was well-versed in just about every branch of medicine and the exact sciences. If anyone knew what you get when you mix zinc powder and muriatic acid, it was Sheldon. The phone rang about 60 seconds later, and it was Sheldon on the line. "Cy, you need some help?" "I haven't got time to explain, but what do you get when you mix zinc powder with muriatic acid?" I asked. "You get an exothermic reaction, meaning it gives off a lot of gaseous vapor and heat." "Is the vapor poisonous?" I wanted to know. "As far as being poisonous, muriatic acid is another name for hydrochloric acid. You would not want to get it on your skin. It's very corrosive and will cause burns," he explained. This was not getting me anywhere. "What about if I threw in some latex party balloons? Does that ring a bell?" "It sure does," he says excitedly. "It's a well-known demonstration of the properties of hydrogen gas. When you mix muriatic acid with zinc powder, it produces hydrogen gas. You do this in a closed system and feed the gas through a rubber tube to fill up balloons. You tie off one of the balloons, and the balloon floats just like helium." "Is it dangerous?" I asked. "Damn right it is. It's highly explosive and combustible," he warned. "Did you ever hear about the Hindenburg Zeppelin that exploded in New Jersey in the 30s? That was hydrogen gas. That's why science teachers use only one balloon." "Science teachers know how to make this stuff?" I asked. "Sure," said Sheldon. "Great theater. You attach a lighted candle to a stick and put it close to the balloon, and blam! Impresses the hell out of the kids." Devorah Klein had been a science teacher. "What if I use 10 balloons?" I inquired. "Same thing, only bigger, blam. But you would also have a big fire and a big hole in something," I said. That is what the Rebbitzin had planned. Was I too late? "Thanks, Sheldon. You've been a big help," I said. "Chuck gave me that number you wanted," said Sheldon. He gave me Daphna's home phone number, and after he hung up, I dialed the number with great trepidation. With each ring, my heart sank lower and lower. Daphna picked up on the 6th ring. "Hello." What a relief. "Daphna, this is Cy." "Cy, where have you been?" she interrupted. "I've been calling for more than an hour." I interrupted her and said, "Stop talking and listen." When she complied, I asked, "Has Rebbitzin Klein been in your house since I left this morning?" Daphna did answer my question and she said, "Cy, she did it. You were right. She killed Rabbi Klein. I found the material in the doctor's files." "I know. I tried to call you, but it did not go through. She used my phone when she was here, and since then it does not work." "She was there?" I asked nervously. "A couple of hours ago." "Did she bring any balloons?" I asked anxiously. "How do you know about the balloons?" "Well, did she?" I had to know. "Yeah, she came over here all happy and smiling and told me they were for a surprise party for a child in the hospital." What a faker. How many balloons, I demanded. About 24 colorful helium balloons tied to a little weighted box. She said she would come to get them later. The box had to be the detonator. Where did she put them? Where did you put them? I didn't put them anywhere. She did. They're down in the basement, said Dafna. Anywhere near the propane tank, I asked. Right next to it was a reply. What should I tell her? There was going to be a big explosion. If I told them to get out of the house, would they get far away, get it far enough away to be safe? I made a quick decision. Don't ask any questions. Just do as I say, I commanded. You're in danger. The balloons are explosive. Do not touch them. Take your mother and the girls into the vault and close the door tightly behind you. Don't come out unless you hear from me or one of the public safety people. She started to say, but no buts. Just do it, I said beseechingly. I turned to the driver who had been listening to my calls. I'll give you $100 if you take me to the Charles Street just off Elizabeth. What about the hospital, he asked. This is more important. If I made it this far, I'll last a few more minutes. He made a slight course correction, and we were off on our way to Dafna's house. I called 911 and told them there was a strong possibility that there would be an explosion at Dafna's house. The operator did not know how to process the call. I was reporting a situation that had not yet occurred. She discussed it with me and her superior for about 3 minutes. 3 minutes of valuable time. The discussion became mute when we, and just about half of the Lansing area, heard the loud explosion that rocked the city. I hoped I had made the right decision and was not too late. End of chapter 24. Tomorrow we'll do chapter 25.